Right. The present population of Portsmouth is 550,000. It is expected that this population will increase by 42% by the year 2030. Write the number 550,000 in standard form. Do you girls know how to write this in standard form? Anybody knows? How would you write
Isn't
500?
that when you have the 10 and the power?
Yeah, it is. When you have a number between 1 and 5, sorry, 1 and 10, a number between 1 and 10 multiplied by 10 to the power of something. So, Ari, stay with me here. If I wanted to write 550,000 in standard form, I would first need the first digit or the first number, sorry, to be between 1 and 10, right? So where should I put the decimal point in this number to make it a number between 1 and 10?
After the 5?
Which five? The first five or the second five?
The first one?
Yeah, because that would make it 5.5, right? So that would be
Yes.
5.5 times 10 to the power of, well, if that point is here, right? That's one, two, three, four, five
5.
places. So it'll be 10 to the power of 5, right? And that is how you write 550,000 in standard form. 10 to the power of 5 is 100,000. So 5.5 times 100,000. You'll move the point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. So it's always a good thing to check what is the like to check it back to see if you get the same number, right? Like 5.5 times 10 to the power of 5. Type that in your calculator and make sure you get that number. That's the original number, the 550,000. Cool? Right. So I think you all could do the second part. It says it is expected that the population will increase by 42% by the year 2030. Calculate the expected population in 2030. Everybody take a few minutes, work this part out for me, and then I'll show you how I would do it. Resume record it. Right. You can either just find, you could do the percentage, the short way of finding a percentage increase would be now if the population increased, the new population will be 142% of the original one, right? So if you could do 142% multiply by 550,000, right? And that would give us, let's see, 142 times 550,000, which is 78 million. Oops, not, I wrote the wrong thing. Oops. Yeah, 78,100,000. Is this what you got, Nia? 78,100,000?
Well, miss, right now I'm confused. I get 781,000. Wait, let me check. Let me calculate. To see if I'm
Miss, I didn't get that.
Oh,
Miss,
you
you
know
could
what? No, no,
re-explain
no,
that.
no, no.
I'm
No, 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 no.
confused.
I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Sorry.
Okay.
142 over 100. I'm sorry. Yes, it is correct, Nia, what you got.
Miss, can you re-explain how you did it? I'm
Yeah,
confused.
yeah, I will. Let me just write the answer. 781,000. Yes, Nia, you're correct. And whoever else got it, you are also correct. I forgot to put over 100 and I just multiplied 142 by accident. Right. So, Safi, to find a percentage increase, like let's say something is increasing by K%, right? So increase a quantity by K%. K just representing the unknown quantity, right? So to increase a quantity by, oops, by K%, you basically multiply by or you just find, I should say, 100 plus K percent of that quantity, right? So in this case, we want to increase 550,000 by 42%. So in this case, K is 42. So to find out what the percentage increase would be, what the total value would be after it has been increased by 42%, a simple way to do it is just say 100 plus 42 over 100 times the original amount, right? Because a percentage increase will always be more than 100%, since 100% is the total of any original quantity. So anytime you have a percentage increase, you just add that to 100 and multiply it by the original quantity, right? So that's one method. The next method, Safi, would be to find out what 42% of 550,000 would be. So you could check 42%. So you could either do 42 over 100 or 0.42. Both of those represent 42%. So you check 42 over 100 times 550,000. All right, so 42 over 100 times 550,000, which will give you 231,000. And then that's what 42% is. So then you add that to the original amount. So the total would be 550,000 plus 231,000. And that would give you 781,000. So this is method 1 here, and this is method 2. Which method did you guys use? Did you all use 1 or 2?
I used to.
One.
Okay.
Two. The first one.
All right. All right, Zafi. Zafi, tell me, do you understand it now? You want me to explain it to you again?
Yeah, I got it now.
Okay, cool. Right. So guys, in the same way that you could increase a quantity, to increase a quantity by K percent, you find 100 plus K percent of that of the original quantity. If you wanted to decrease a quantity by K percent, it'll be 100 minus K percent of the original quantity. So like if I wanted to decrease 550,000 by 42%, I would have to find 100 minus 42%, which is 58. So I'll have to find 58% of 550,000, or alternatively, I'll find 42% of 550,000 and subtract that from the original amount. All right, so there are two ways to do it, either that first way or that second way. All right, let's look at this question. A two-story car park has a total of 1,020 parking spaces. At 630 hours one morning, so that's 6:30 a.m., 1/30th of the 1,020 spaces are filled. During the next hour, no cars left the car park, but another 4/15ths of the 1,020 spaces are filled. Determine the number of parking spaces that are not filled at 730 hours. So it has a total of 1,020 parking spaces. First, you had 1/30th of the 1,020 spaces filled, and then during the next hour, no cars left, but another 4/15ths of the 120 spaces are filled. We need to find how much were not filled. Y'all try this one. Everyone try this one. And it's only 1 mark. So you should always take the number of marks as an indication of how much work you should have to do there, right? So it can't be anything too complicated because it's only 1 mark. So you'll try this one. What?
And then I add it together
Mhm.
and then I find the answer and then I take it away from the 1,020.
Yeah, that's fine. And those are the correct steps. It's just that you made that one mistake. So just fix that, and then you'll have to like fix it in the other steps too, but that's good. Anybody else got it as yet?
Got it, miss.
What did you do?
So basically, I added 1 over 30 and 4 over
Mm-hmm.
15. I got
Mm-hmm.
9, right? And then I
Yeah.
want the number of packages that is not filled, so that would have been the remainder. So the leftover would have been 21 over 30, and I find
Mm-hmm.
21 over 30 of 1020, 1020, and I get 740.
Yeah. That's also correct, right? So the filled spaces would be, oh, I can't spell. The filled spaces would be 1/30th plus 4/15th, and that would give us, let's see, 1 over 30 plus 4 over 15. That's 3/10, right? And then that means the unfilled spaces. Oh my gosh, I put unfilled. What is going on with me? The unfilled spaces, if the filled spaces make up 3/10, then the unfilled will be 7/10. So you check 7/10 of 1020, which will give you 7/10 of 1020. What did you get as the answer, Nia?
740.
That's correct. Jenny, did you fix your answer?
Yeah.
Did you get 714?
Yeah.
Beautiful. So those are the two ways to do it, right? What Genesis did by finding 1/30th of the 1020 and then 4/15ths of the 1020, adding them up and subtracting it from the 1020, or what Nia did, which is using the fractions instead. So just finding out what fraction represents the unfilled spaces and finding that fraction of 1020. So both methods would give you the same answer. The rest of you, do you understand the question? Zafi, understood?
Yeah.
Good. Athena, how about you?
Yeah.
Okay. Isabel, you got it, honey?
Yes, miss.
All right. Who else? Who else? Let's see. Kaylin. Kaylin, you got it? I know you're tired today, but did you get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, excellent. Let's move on. Of the 1020 parking spaces, 20% are on the top level. How many parking spaces are on the top level? Easy question. 20% are on the top level. What will we have to do here, Janaya? Is Janaya with us still? Janaya, are you there, love? Hmm.
Yes.
Okay,
But
what
for
will we have to do for this one?
for the last one, I did it really long. So I don't know if my working for this one would be long too.
No, that's okay. It just says of the 1020
Oh,
parking spaces, 20% are on the top level. How many would that be?
um, yeah, I put in 20 over 100,
Uh-huh.
and I will get 0.2. And
Uh-huh.
I take 0.2 and multiply it by 120, and you get equal
1020.
1020, and you'll get equal to 204.
That's correct. So 204 spaces are on the top level. Good. Some of the spaces are reserved for monthly paying customers. The ratio of spaces, of reserved spaces to non-reserved spaces is 5 to 12. Calculate the number of non-reserved parking spaces. So guys, remember I told you it's shares, right? Ratios is all about shares. So 5 to 7 really represents a total of 12 shares because 5 plus 7 is 12. And the ratio of reserved spaces to the non-reserved spaces. So reserved spaces would have 5 out of the total shares, and non-reserved spaces will have 7 out of the out of the shares. So Zafi, what fraction of the shares would be allocated to non-reserved spaces?
Oh my goodness. Um, the non-reserved spaces would be 7 over 12.
That's right. Work it out for me. So 7 over 12 of the total. How much is that, honey?
Like total number of parking spaces throughout the parking lot.
Yes, yes. So the 1020.
Um, I got 595.
That's correct. 595 spaces. Good. All right, let's move on. Okay, let's look at this one. The cost for parking at the car park is shown in the table below. Under 30 minutes, it's free, right? So you pay nothing for under 30 minutes. More than 30 minutes and up to 2 hours, you pay $2.25. More than 2 hours and up to 4 hours, you pay $5.50. More than 4 hours and up to 8 hours, you pay $9.25. And then more than 8 hours and up to 24 hours, you pay $15. A 1 week ticket is $40. Michaela leaves the car park at 1830 hours, that's 6:30 p.m., right? And she pays $9.25. Determine the earliest time she could have arrived at the car park. So which of the time frames would she have had to pay $9.25 for, guys?
4 hours and up to 8. More than 4 hours and up to 8 hours.
Correct. More than 4 hours and up to 8 hours, right? So it says that to determine the earliest time she could have arrived at the car park. So would that be like the 4 hours or the 8 hours? If we look at the earliest time, would it
That
be,
would be the 4 hours.
well, she would have had to stay. If it's 4 hours that she stayed for, it'll be 1830 minus 4, which is 1430, right? Which is 2:30 p.m. Whereas if she stayed for the 8 hours, that would be 8 hours before, and they want us to determine the earliest time. So should we calculate for the longer number of hours or the least number or the lesser number of hours?
The longer one.
Correct. So it would have to be the 8 hours, right? So we'll say 1830, take away 8 hours, which will give us 1030. Does this
Miss,
make
where
sense,
is
guys?
this car park? I need to go to this car park.
I agree. This is probably US dollars. Do you all understand the question, ladies?
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Perfect. Let's see the next one. Danraj bought a weekly parking ticket for $40. That week, he visited the car park 5 different times. The length of time he parked his car on each occasion is given below. So the first time he spent 25 minutes. The second time he spent 7.5 hours. The third time he spent 11 hours. Wow. The fourth time, 8.75 hours, and then the last time he went, he spent 8 hours. Show that Danraj saved $8.50 by buying the weekly ticket. So, in order to solve this question, we would first need to find out how much money he would have spent if he went individually, right? Because it's already told us that we know how much a weekly parking ticket costs. It's $40. So let's work out how much he would have had to pay for each of these individual times. All right, so for the 25 minutes, how much money would he have had to pay, guys, if he stayed 25 minutes? Based on the table
If
here.
he stayed 20, it would be free.
Good. So he'll pay $0, right? So that first time he didn't have to pay anything, get a blight. What about the second time? If he stayed 7.5 hours, how much money would he have to pay for 7.5 hours?
$9.25.
Yeah.
$9.25.
Correct. $9.25. What about 11 hours? If he stayed for 11 hours, how much money would he pay for that?
$15.
$15.
Yeah, $15. What about 8 hours and 8 3/4 hours?
$15.
8 3/4? Nah, he'll have to pay more because this says up to 8 hours. Oh, sorry, you said yes, $15. I'm sorry, $15 is correct. Yep, $15 again. And then the last one, 8 hours. How much would he pay for 8 hours?
$9.25.
$9.25. Perfect. All right, so let's show that this is by him purchasing the weekly ticket, he would have saved $8.50. So let's calculate the total amount of money he would have paid per visit. All right, so total per visit would be 925. Well, 925 times 2 plus 15 times 2. Just making that less space. How much is that?
48.
48.
Okay. Yeah, $48.50, right?
Yeah.
Right. So he'd have paid $48.50. And the cost for a weekly ticket is $40. So difference savings. Well, that's looking like a X. Savings would be equal to the amount he would have paid per visit, that's $48.50, minus the cost of the weekly ticket, which is $40, and that gives us $8.50. So we have shown that he saved $8.50. So you write QED, right? Which means that I can't remember what it actually means, QED. I think it's some kind of Latin thing. But yes, it means proven, right? All right. Let's take a break, guys. Caitlin, are you there, love? Why am I calling Caitlin Caitlin? Caitlin, I'm so sorry. You're probably wondering, why is she calling me Caitlin? Caitlin, you, honey.
Hi, I'm here. Okay.
Sorry, love. I
It's
was
okay.
just talking about another student with that name to someone on WhatsApp, and I kept saying that. I'm sorry. Yes, love. Calculate the amount of money he earns in a 4-week month. How would we do that?
Okay, so the first thing I would do is I would calculate how much he earns in a week. So since he works 35 hours each week, I would say 35 hours times $11.20.
Yeah, that's
And give me a second, I can work it out.
mhm.
So he works 35 hours a week for $11.20 each hour. So that's $392 a week.
Correct.
And now we multiply that by 4 since you want to find out how much he makes in a 4-week month. And the answer is 1,568.
Yep, that's correct. 1,568. Anybody knows another way that you could solve this problem?
Miss,
Yeah.
what I did, I multiplied 35 hours by 4, and then I multiplied that answer, which was 140,
Mhm.
by the $11.20, and I got the same answer.
Correct. That's another way you could have done it. Excellent. You could have found out the number of hours he works for in a month, in a 4-week month. So if it's 35 hours in 1 week, then 4 weeks will be 35 times 4, and then you could just multiply that by the hourly rate. Excellent. Both of them will give you the same answer. All right. In a certain week, Harish works 8 hours overtime. Overtime hours are paid at 1.5 times the usual rate of $11.20 per hour. Find the total amount of money he made in that week. So the overtime rate, he's paid at time and a half. So what would be the overtime rate? The actual overtime rate. You all know how to calculate that? So it's literally this 1.5 times the usual rate. So 1.5 or 1.5 multiplied by 11.20. That's how you calculate the overtime rate. If it was, so this is called time and a half, 1.5 times, literally means time and a half. Or that's not literally, that's what it's also known as. And that you find that by multiplying the normal rate or the basic rate by 1.5 or 1.5. Then, like, there are different types of overtime rates. Like, you could have double time, which means that you're working for twice the amount that you typically work for. So, like, if you work for $10 an hour, normally, then, and you work for double time as your overtime rate, you multiply 10 by 2, which is 20. In this case, for Harish, if he was working for double time, it'll be 2 times 11.20, right? You could also have triple time, which means you multiply it by 3, etc. Cool. So the most popular ones are really time and a half and double time. Right. So 1.5 times 11.20. Anybody check that as yet?
$16.80.
Yes, $16.80. So he'll make $16.80 per hour of overtime work. So Isabel, how much would he earn for that 8 hours overtime?
$134.40.
How you got it, love?
I multiplied $16.80 by 8.
That's right. 1680 times 8, which will be $134.40. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, $134.40. And how, well, they asked us the total amount of money that he would be paid for that week. His typical work week is 35 hours, and that would be charged, well, that would be paid at his regular rate. So for 35 hours, he gets, we worked that out up here already, $392. So the total amount that he would receive is the regular amount, which is 392, right? That was 35 times 11.20 plus $134.40. How much is that? Isabel, how much is that?
$1,702.40.
500.
Oh wait,
How much?
no. Hold on. Sorry, Miss, I added the wrong stuff. It's
Okay.
$526.40.
Yeah, correct. $526.40. All right, that's correct. Okay, let's look at this question. Children go to a rodeo camp during the Easter holiday. Miss Rika buys bananas and oranges for the children at the camp. Bananas cost $3.85 per kilogram. Miss Rika buys 25 kilograms of bananas and receives a discount of 12%. How much money does she spend on bananas? You'll try this one for me. Yes. Tell us, Nia. Tell us. School us.
So for the first one,
Mhm.
the first thing you need to do is find out the total amount of money, and that is $96.25.
Oh, wait. How you got that? By doing what?
By multiplying $3.85 by 25 kg,
Yes.
and then you need to find out 12% of that because she gets a discount, and 12% of that is $11.55. And then, of course, subtract common sense, and the total amount of money that she spent on bananas was $84.70.
Guys, is Nia correct? I didn't even work it out.
She is correct.
Yes.
Okay, so she did 12% of the cost price, which is $96.25. So was that $11.55?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And then so her discounted price, the final price, or the final cost, I should say, would be the $96.25 takeaway $11.55, which is how much?
$84.70.
Correct. $84.70. Anybody did it differently? No? Another thing you could have done is if the discount is 12%, then that means she'll be paying 100 minus 12% of the original cost. So 100 minus 12 is 88%. So you could have calculated 88% of 96.25. So 96.25 times 0.88. Let's see if you get the same answer. And you do, $84.70, right? Any method works. Right, anybody did part two? Miss Rika spends $165.31, inclusive of a sales tax of 15%. Calculate the original price of the oranges. Do you know how to work this out? This $165 is inclusive of sales tax.
Yes, miss.
How do you think you have to do that one?
So, well, for me, I do it like kind of similar to how I do the first one. I calculate 15% of 165.31, and that is $24.08. Well, I round it with. I don't know if you should have rounded it up, but you do round it up.
What answer you got in general?
If the answer was $24, which I get all kinds of grades, my calculator. But to two decimal places, 79 cents. Well, yeah, 79. Oh, yeah, common sense, my bad.
What's the answer,
79
honey?
$24.79, miss.
No, that's not the correct answer.
Says
Yeah, yes, Safira.
I got the same thing she did, but it has a 6 behind the 9 of the 79, so I rounded it off to 80.
So y'all are saying the answer is what?
$24.80.
Nah, that wouldn't be correct, right? And the reason is,
No, I
Percent of the total is the same as the answer.
oh, you're saying that. Okay, so what's the answer?
Miss, I'm disappointed. Anyways, so then you obviously have to subtract the $165.31 minus the $24. Hold on. Minus the $24.79.
Wait,
Yes,
so wait, hold on 1 second before you continue. I didn't work this out as yet, so I'm just taking what y'all are saying. Zafi, what were you pointing out?
Oh, no, I was just saying that, because she said her calculator was giving her all kind of crazy numbers, but I got the same thing she did, but I wasn't done with the working out
So
part.
it should really be $24.80, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I rounded it
Because
off to,
because
because
if
it
it
has
was
6 behind the 9.
correct, if it was 24.796, then of course it's dollars and cents, so you have to round off to 2 decimal places. So it will be $24.80. Okay, fine. And then what? Nia, if you're using $24.80, what would be the cost that you're saying?
then we subtract 24 we subtract $24.80 from $165.31,
Mm-hmm.
and that That would be $140.51.
All right, so let's check if this is correct. To check if this answer is correct, let's just calculate what 15% of this would be and then add it to see if that would give us the 165.31 right? So you could also just check what is 1.15 multiplied by 140.51. 1.15 is 115%, all right? So what that would be 1.15 times 140.51 is 161.59. And that is not the same as this, is it?
Excuse me, miss.
Yes.
All I did was I put in 165 $0.31 and I put 1.15 and then I got and then I got my answer.
As what? $143.74
Yeah.
75 cents?
Yeah, I put it was 74, but I put it 75.
Yeah. So guys, the answer is really what Ari said, and I'll tell you why. $165.31 is inclusive of the sales tax of 15%, right? So that means 100 and hold on, I'm writing with the wrong thing. Yeah. So that means if you have a price inclusive of sales tax of 15%, that price would be worth 115% of the original price. So basically, 115% is equal to $165.31, right? So to find out what we are trying to calculate, the original price is 100%, right? So the original price is of anything is worth 100%. So that's what we really calculating, all right? So the easiest way to do it is to write 115% as a decimal. So in other words, 165.31 is equal to 1.15, right? So we want to find out what is one whole, just one. So to find the answer, you would have to say $165.31 divided by 1.15. And that would give us $143.75. All right. Or you could have said 165.31 divided by 115 over 100. You'll get the correct answer there as well, right? So to check this one, so this answer is $143.75. To check if your answer is correct for a question like this, where they give you the VAT inclusive or sales tax inclusive price, what you need to do is you work backwards, right? So I got $143.75. So let's see if that works out. What is 115% of 143.75? Let's check that. 143.75 times 1.15 is 165.31. Right, Nia and Zafi?
Yeah.
This is actually how you find out, how you work out the original price if you know what the sales tax is equal to. If you know the sales tax inclusive price, you have to divide by, if the sales tax is 15%, you'll divide by 115%. If it's 12.5%, you'll divide by 112.5%, or I prefer to work it out as a decimal, so I would divide by 1.125, all right? Guys, so that's how you work out a question like that. All right, the ratio of the number of bananas to the number of oranges is 2 to 3. Furthermore, there are 24 more oranges than bananas. Calculate the number of bananas Miss Rika bought. So, all right, the ratio of the number of bananas to the number of oranges is 2 to 3. And there are 24 more oranges than bananas. So let's see. If the ratio is 2 to 3, right, guys? What's the total share there?
5.
Yes. All right. So that means, in other words, 2/3 is the bananas, right? So 2/3 is bananas. And then what? Sorry, 2/5. 2/5 is bananas. And then what fraction is oranges?
3/5.
3/5, right? And then what's the difference between the oranges and bananas then? If the bananas is 2/5 and the oranges is 3/5, what's the difference? Y'all know what difference mean?
Subtract.
Correct. So what's the difference there, Zafi, between
One.
oranges? Yeah, it's one what? 1 over,
Can you repeat that? You're breaking up.
it's 1 over 5, right? If oranges is 3/5 and bananas is 2/5, then the difference is 3/5 minus 2/5, which is 1/5. All right. And they told us that there are 24 more oranges than bananas. So, in other words, 1/5 is equal to 24. So, if 1/5 is equal to 24, do you all know how much the whole would have? If 1/5 is equal to 24, anybody knows?
Twenty-four by 5.
That's right. 24 times 5, which is what, Jenny? Genesis, that was you, right? That said it's 24 times 5?
Yeah, sorry, 120.
Correct. All right. So there are 120 fruits in total, and there are oh well, actually, you didn't even need to find out what the total amount is, because if 1/5 is 24 and 2/5 represent bananas, how much would bananas be equal to? If 1/5 is 24, then bananas will be. Guys, if 1/5 is equal to 24 fruits, then 2/5 would be equal to how much?
48, miss. 48.
That's right, 24 times 2, which is 48. So there are 48 bananas. Or you could have checked what is 2/5 of 120 as well. All right, you get the same answer. 48 bananas. All right, let's see.